So we've started building our table. We've got columns and rows in there, and we've got a little bit of data. In this case, we've got some order information, various products, quantities, and prices. Now I want to perform some calculations within this table. Now, if you're familiar with Microsoft Excel, that's what Excel is all about. Inserting data and then performing some type of calculation on that data. And Excel is full of all sorts of calculations. Sum, average, min, max, VLOOKUPs. You got loads of functions you can use inside of Excel. Here inside of Word, within a Word table, you've got some of those calculations. Not nearly as many as Excel, but you got the common ones. Sum, min, max, product, average. You've got a few in there you can use. I just mentioned a couple. You got a few more than that as well. But again, not nearly as robust as using Excel to do calculations. But let's take a look at here how we can do things like sum a column of cells, or multiply a few cells together, or average some cells. Let's try the summing first. I'm going to go down to this bottom cell right below my quantities. With my cursor inside that cell, I'm going to go up to my Layout tab. I'm going to go over to the far right corner where I got Formula. This is inside the Data section of the Layout tab. So I'll go to Formula. Now, this opens up my formula window where it already defaulted a formula. It's saying equals sum, and what's it want to sum? It wants to sum above, meaning from this cell, go above, find the numbers, and sum that up. So really, Word's already done the work for me. I can just hit OK, and I've now summed it up. 10 plus 12 plus 24 plus 33 is 79. And I can even put my own text in there. I'll just call this a total quantity. There we go. And maybe I'll highlight it and I'll make it bold. We'll change make it stand out a little bit. Control B. Remember, Control B is your shortcut key for bold. Now, how about price? I don't want to get a total here. I want to do an average. I want to get an average price for all these products that we sold. Well, same idea. I'll place my cursor down there. Back to Layout. Back over to Formula. Now, once again, it defaults. You're going to find that Word does a lot of defaults for you. And in this case, it always wants to sum, and it's looking for numbers around it. It's trying to determine where those numbers are at and what would best fit within a calculation here. So it defaults to above. Okay, well, I don't want to sum. I want an average. So I'm just actually going to type in average here. What do I want to average? I want to average the above cells. So I'll hit OK. And there's my average. The average of all these values here is roughly 1.74. And I'll call this average price. We'll increase that column just a little bit. There we go. And I'll format it. Control B. Make that a little bit wider. There we have it. So I've got my total, my sum, and I got my average for price. Again, just place your cursor in the cell, go up to Formula, create your formula if needed. Again, you're going to find that Word does some of the defaults for you. Now, let's get a little bit trickier with this. I'm going to go to the rows, and I want to multiply for each of these products. I want to multiply the quantity with the price so I can get a total price for that quantity at this price. So this one's going to be a little bit different. Again, still placing my cursor in there. Back to Layout, into Formula. Now, again, it wants the defaults. It did a sum to the left. Now, if you look closely back at my original table, I just left it at the defaults. I just did sum left, sum left. I wasn't even watching. I just kind of I got it all done. So 11.25 is not 10 times 1.25. Okay? That's 10 plus 1.25. So default sum, watch that. Make sure that Word just isn't doing the work for you, that if you need to, you can modify it. So I'm going to modify it. I'm going to delete out what they gave me. And I'm going to come down here to paste function, where you're going to find all the different functions that are built into Microsoft Word. So I'm going to find the one called product. So here's product. They give me product, open, close parentheses. They didn't say to the left or above or wherever, but I need to tell it what I want to get the product of, or what do I want to multiply. Now this is where it gets a little bit tricky. With the sum and the average, it was just, hey, sum above, average above. Okay? Or with the original here, it was sum to the left. So just based on where you're at, we're going to go to the left, or we're going to go above, or whichever direction. Okay? Well, that's not true here. I'm not going to say product to the left, but I need to tell it which cells, literally which cells I want to multiply. Microsoft Word tables, again, they're broken up into columns, right? We got, what, 4 columns in here, including the total, and we got rows. We got all these rows in there, but broken up into these cells. So inside of Word, we've got column A, we got column B, we got column C, and we got column D. And then over here, we got row 1, we got row 2, we got row 3, and so on. So this right here, this 10 would be inside of B3. This 1.25 would be inside of C3. So here, when I do the product, I'm going to say take B3, which is column A, B, row 3, which is the 10, comma, C3. So I want to multiply B3 and C3. If I hit OK, I multiply the two of them together, and I've got my 12.5. 10 times 1.25 equals 12.15. And this is all using a formula, but in this case, using the product function and identifying which cells you want to multiply. Let's try that again. I'm going to drop down to the next row, back to layout, formula. So once again, I don't want the defaults. I'm going to say equals product. Let's make sure I spell that right. You can always use the little paste function window. Open up a parentheses. Now this time, it's still column B and C, but now it's row 4. So I'm going to say B4, comma, C4. I'll hit OK. So 12 times 2.35 equals 28.2. That's the product function. There's a number of other ones in there. Again, formula. You can jump into there. You can go into paste function. You can find all the different functions that are available to you right here. I'm going to cancel that out. Try filling out the next two. Do bananas and apples. Get this all complete. Get all your calculations in there. If you haven't done the summing and the averaging yet, get those in there as well. But creating calculations, again, not quite as robust as Excel. You could always create it inside of Excel and copy paste into Word if that's what you need. Maybe it's even already created inside of Excel. If not, you can do some simple calculations right here inside of a Microsoft Word table.